and free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see it through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, it helps futures lose pride.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is Diet Free Life with Robert Ferguson. Let me say it another way. This is Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson, and welcome to Diet Free Life, where we talk about all the things that can help you optimize personal health and put you in a position where you're not sharing lies with people or misinformation, and you're actually sharing information that can help people. And as I shared the other day in one of my lives, it was an impromptu, I finally realized very clearly who I'm speaking to. I am sharing information for people who want to be informed, people who want to optimize personal health, people who are interested in learning how to live their best and healthiest life. No fads, no gimmicks, lifestyle related information. That's who I'm speaking to. That's who I'm dedicated to. I'm going to share with you the truth based on the way I see it, and I'm going to always substantiate it, meaning I'm going to do my best to make sure that what I'm sharing with you is substantiated, meaning there's references, there's studies. It's not just my opinion. My goal is to put you in a position where you can thrive. Will I be 100% every time? I'm shooting for that, but I'm human, you know? And if I make a mistake, if I share something that I later find out is not a truth, I don't mind eating crow every once in a while. And I will raise my hand. I will raise my arms high if I make a mistake. And at the same time, I would challenge you to challenge me. I mean, today we have chat, AI, Google Scholar, PubMed. You can search whenever I make a comment. If you go, man, I don't know if that's real or not, I don't know if that's true, then I would encourage you to challenge me, to check, to verify everything that I share with you. Because I'm not in the business of just sharing information just to share it. I'm not really into the whole gaslighting type of thing. I know that people want real, solid answers, and people are tired of just believing that everything, people like myself, even though I've been in this space as a clinical nutritionist for 30 years, I've done some amazing work that I'm extremely proud of, but I still wouldn't just take my word for it. You know what I mean? And after a while, what you will discover, as many of my clients and friends and partners and people who have become certified nutritionists with me in our organization, they know that I'm always coming with a bag of goodies, meaning I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. I'm sharing real information, even though it may be new information. And that's what throws people for a loop. They're like, what, why my doctor hasn't told me that? Why hasn't anyone shared that with me? And I'm sorry that that's the case, but I know that that will happen because I want to be cutting edge. And I do have 30 years experience, and I've coached thousands of people. I've done a lot. So I have that wisdom, things I can go back to, things that I have seen again and again and again and again and again. And that's why today is a special day, because I'm going to share with you something that's going to blow your mind. I even have notes because I want to share with you information that if I do a good job and you're in a position where you want to get what I'm about to share, you will be informed. And once you're informed, it's up to you at that point. Now, I've provided links. If you're interested in becoming a client of mine or working with one of my coaches, reach out to me. I'll connect you. You can email me. I can share with you the options that we have available. But if you want to optimize health and well-being, let me tell you right now that we have a very high success track ratio. And let me tell you that I will be going live again today because one of my coaches, who was my client, she was a client. She became one of my coaches. She knows nutrition. She's great. She does a great job with her clients, but she found herself kind of getting stuck. She was trying to lose weight, was stuck for 8 months, called me. We had a very emotional exchange conversation. I'm talking about Lisa Marie. She told me what she was trying. It wasn't working for 8 months. She asked me if I would be her coach again. I said, absolutely. And man, when you look at her numbers and what she has done, I'm just a contributor to her success. But once she decided to bring me in as her coach, 8 pounds gone. And keep in mind, for 8 months, she was stuck. And she knows nutrition. There's something powerful when you surrender and are open to having someone work with you. So a lot of you will be stuck. You will have temporary relief in your weight loss. And I would encourage you, doesn't have to be with me, but get a coach. Singers do it. Celine Dion has had a coach her entire career. When Whitney Houston was here, she had a coach. Michael Jordan, the best basketball player, in my opinion, of all time, had a coach. Wayne Gretzky, one of the best hockey players of all time, had a coach. Michael Jackson, one of the best entertainers of all time, had a coach. Dancing coach, voice coach. Tony Robbins, who's very famous when it comes to business and has a coach. So why is it that the average, normal, everyday person doesn't take advantage of what we know to be true, and that is having a coach? So in our time today, right now, I want you to look at me as your coach, because I'm going to share with you information on why many people can't lose weight. I'm telling you, and you're doing everything right. It's not your fault. I'm going to share with you the science right now. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to walk away going, wow, I didn't know that. Okay, let's get into it. I know you're like, Robert, can we just get into it? Okay. And the title of our time today is How Inflammation Blocks Weight Loss and Fuels Disease. So you're like, what do you mean by inflammation? I'm going to explain it. Many of you feel like you're inflamed. You may not know how to explain it or share exactly what that means, but many people are inflamed. And insulin resistance is real. According to Tufts University, 93% of all adults are living with some level of insulin resistance. So I want to pause there. I want you to just soak that in like a marinade. 93% of all adults are living with some level of inflammation. And I'm going to be specific: low-grade chronic inflammation or chronic low-grade inflammation, the same. Something that is continuous and is taking place inside your body, and your doctors don't bring it up because they don't test for it. Now, if you have other health concerns, sometimes they get to a place like if you have rheumatoid arthritis, your doctor may run labs on getting your C-reactive protein, which is an inflammation marker that would confirm that you have chronic low-grade inflammation. Now, I have an easier way for you to find that out. Yes. One of the best ways ever. Like, I had a conversation this morning with a young man who has epilepsy. And it was very rewarding to have this conversation with this kid. Now, he's a young man. I'm an older man now. I got to accept that reality. Midlife man. Anyway, talking to him, I said, if you want to cut down on the intensity of the seizures that you experience, if you want to potentially have fewer seizures, we need to know where you are with inflammation. The same as MS and the same with many other conditions, gout, lupus, right? You don't want those flare-ups. Well, if you want to reduce those flare-ups, those episodes, then you want to reduce inflammation. And if you reduce inflammation, you will experience less symptoms. That's not my, I didn't make that up. That's in the physician desk reference. That's in all the literature. But unfortunately, most people, like this young man, he didn't know this. So we gave him this at-home test, which I'll share a little bit with you guys, because if you want to deal with insulin resistance, then you got to understand inflammation, because inflammation is a contributor to you becoming insulin resistant. And if 93% of all adults have some level of insulin resistance, why isn't everyone fully aware of what their level of inflammation is? And that's a question you could ask your doctor, and they don't have an answer because they're the same as you. When I meet your doctor, they become my client. I don't become their patient. And that's not being pompous or ego or thinking I'm all that. That's not. I'm just sharing with you the truth. And if you're new to me, in time, you will know that I'm coming from a place of empathy and compassion. But I must share the truth, and the truth is the truth. I'm not their client. I'm not their patient, but they do become my client, my personal nutrition client. A lot of doctors, because they don't know what I'm sharing with you. So I can assume that most MOST physicians, which would be the majority, do not know what I'm about to go over. I mean, it is what it is, you guys. Let's just get to the facts. And you're like, yeah, Robert, get to the facts. Okay, let's get to the facts. But when you can control or have an idea of inflammation, you can actually do something about your situation, right? Otherwise, your situation, whatever it may be, persists and you experience more of the negatives that you don't want to experience. Okay, let's get into it. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is inflammation. Now, when I bring up the word inflammation, okay, if you can see this, I'm going to blow it up just a little bit. Every one of these conditions is driven by inflammation in the body. I've had some of my clients, when they got control of inflammation, after living with eczema for 30 years, they no longer have eczema. I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but I'm telling you what my clients, that's what's happened. When people address inflammation, many of their symptoms are like what happened to those symptoms? So inflammation drives everything, and you can just fact check it all you want. The data is very clear. Okay, so we're talking about everything from sleep apnea, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, etc. And we can measure it, which is the good news. And like that kid that I talked to this morning who has epilepsy, when I looked at his inflammation marker by looking at his fatty acid profile, which is called arachidonic 2 EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, by doing a basic mathematical equation and knowing that 9% is high, this kid was 28%. He's inflamed. Now he's been on this balance oil that, we recommended to him. It's going to help lower or calm the inflammation for a few weeks. And he was sharing with me that he feels like the intensity of his seizures are less. I said, well, let's go 4 months, which is the life of a red blood cell, right? And we will be able to do an update, because we'll test again and see if his inflammation marker has gone down. And if it's gone down, I told him, keep track of every seizure that you have, big, small, little, if you have one. Write down the date and the time. And over 4 months, we're going to look at that. And we're going to have his anecdotal response to let us know if he feels like he's getting some type of benefit. Okay, so I have talked enough. Let's dive in. So chronic low-grade inflammation drives insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, let me explain it. Okay, you ready? Actually, let me do this. Insulin resistance. Okay, we have cells in our body, right? Trillions of cells. And I'm going to speak specifically to fat cells, muscle cells, and liver cells. Now, if my fist is a cell, right? Liver cell, muscle cell, fat cell. It has a membrane that covers that cell. And that membrane needs to be fluid. Now, insulin is a hormone that when you eat certain foods, insulin gets secreted. And one of insulin's big jobs, one of insulin's big responsibilities is to help get sugar out of your blood and into that cell that has the membrane. So insulin goes out from the pancreas, finds the cell, recognizes there's sugar that we need to get out of the blood and into the cell, whether it's the fat cell, the liver cell, the muscle cell. And the insulin connects to the cell. And if everything goes well, that cell will open up and the sugar can go inside, and that's a good thing. But when you have insulin resistance, that means that the cell doesn't easily open. It's become resistant to insulin, which means the sugar can't easily get into the cell. That's insulin resistance. And whenever you have resistance, the pancreas must push more insulin out to kind of force that cell to open up so it can put the sugar inside. And if more insulin is being elevated, when insulin is circulating, you cannot release fat and burn it. So weight loss becomes harder, or you start to gain weight and you don't understand what it is. And many of you blame it on hormones. And that's just ignorance. You don't know any better. And your doctor don't even know how to explain what insulin resistance is. That's how sad the current environment is. And this is not throwing doctors under the bus. They're just ignorant. That does not mean dumb. Ignorant means they're unaware. They didn't get that training when they were going through school. They are glucose-centric, meaning they look at sugar all the time. What is your fasting glucose? They don't go, what is your fasting insulin? But modern day current science, insulin resistance is real. And many of you have it. And if you have high blood pressure, you had insulin resistance before you had high blood pressure. If you are a type 2 diabetic, you had insulin resistance before you were a type 2 diabetic. Do you follow me? Because you get type 2 diabetes or you're pre-diabetic, you never address insulin resistance. And a big reason why you have insulin resistance is because you had low-grade chronic inflammation. If we address inflammation, you change the situation. If you address inflammation, you wouldn't have insulin resistance. If you address inflammation and you don't have insulin resistance, you wouldn't have high blood pressure. You wouldn't have type 2 diabetes. You wouldn't have a lot of the health challenges that people are living with. I think I'm on it right now. You guys feeling this? Okay. So I think we have a pretty good idea about this. Now, main sources for insulin resistance is if you're out of balance with your omega-6 to omega-3, then you're more likely to have insulin resistance. If you are in balance, you're less likely to have insulin resistance. If you eat a lot of processed foods, if you eat a lot of sugar, and if you have poor gut health, then that increases your risk of insulin resistance. Any questions, please post, please share with me, please reach out. And for those who want to learn about the tests and you want to make some changes, schedule a free consultation with me. I do free consultations all the time. We get on the phone for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I answer your questions, share with you what options I have available, and then we keep it moving. Okay, so insulin resistance is real. And inflammation, which most of you are living with. You are living with it. And some of you won't do anything until one of these challenges is expressed. Until you have some problem. Gout? How did I get gout? Lupus? Where did that come from? I'm pre-diabetic, doc? Man, can I fix that? Oh, I have high blood pressure? Oh, let's put you on some meds. Fibromyalgia, where did that come from? I heard about it. That's what you think I have? That's an expression of what happens when you live with low-grade chronic inflammation for a long time. This is one of those videos where I think everybody would share with everybody. You know what I mean? At least that's what I'm feeling right now. I feel like I'm sharing this in a way that it can help everybody. It can help doctors better understand certain things. It can help personal trainers, nutritionists, dietitians, because most of them, they don't know this. And then when they start to research it and they reach out to me and I give them our white papers on all the things that I share, they go, oh my God, why am I just now learning this? Almost every nurse you will meet does not know what I'm sharing with you. They do not know. Seriously, like digest what I'm sharing and it'll open your eyes. And I'm not throwing doctors and nurses under the bus, but you need to know that they don't know. Because when they make recommendations, we think that's the holy grail. Oh, my doc said to do this. Oh, the nurse told me to do this. And you just assume they know and they don't know. Jesus. All right. So what else can cause insulin resistance? Oh, this thing called stress. This is real because when you have stress, it affects this hormone called cortisol and adrenaline. When cortisol, that you've heard about, they call it the belly fat hormone, when it gets secreted, sugar gets released from your liver. And anytime sugar is released from the liver, because it's to fuel that fight or flight thing, right? A tiger's coming. Oh my God, you need sugar. So to help you, let's say you hadn't eaten all day. As soon as that tiger shows up or something crazy happens, a kid gets trapped under a car, fight or flight, you got energy. And that energy is fueled by sugar. Not sugar that you ate, but sugar that's sitting in your liver. I mean, God is amazing. The liver puts it out there. There's a whole communication taking place between the brain, the gut, the liver, and now you got the fuel to do what you got to do. I can lift that car up. I can run. I can escape. It's temporary. But when you are sitting around stressed out, can't pay a bill, concerned about your husband's having an affair, I mean, whatever the case may be, and that stress is still taking place. It may not be a tiger, but it's still creating that chain reaction. And when sugar is constantly coming from the liver because of stress, that means insulin is also being secreted. See how this ties in? And insulin is constantly being secreted. And when insulin is constantly being secreted, it's called hyperinsulinemia, which causes insulin resistance. So now the cells are damaged. We know you're not getting enough omega-3 in the cells. You're just a walking mess. Now I'm sharing all that because there's things we can do. Okay. So I'm going to go on. So we have psychological stress, lack of sleep. Oh, and for those of you who overtrain, you know, those 2-a-day workout type of people, you're doing the same thing. Because every time you train, more sugar is being secreted, more insulin is being secreted, and you can do the exact same damage. Oxidative stress takes place inside of the body. Yeah. That's why people get a coach, right? So like some of you like overtrain, you think you know nutrition. You're like, well, I don't need a coach. Who needs a coach? And you could actually come to someone like me or one of our coaches, and we can actually help you not overtrain and help you maximize without wasting your time. Because many of you are wasting your time, and it's going to end up being a setback because you're doing it wrong. Why not learn? Like I tell people, become a coach, even if you don't want to coach other people, but become a coach so you know how to coach yourself. Lord, help me help people. I want to help people. And knowledge is power. My favorite book says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. Why is it that my Christian clients and the Christian folks who know that scripture, why aren't they calling me? Help me understand that part. They say that they believe in the Bible. My people perish for the lack of knowledge in all areas of life. Lord. Now here I'm going to eat some crow. Here's the third thing I'm going to share with you. I'm about to eat some real crow because, anyway, I will explain it. And if you don't know what eating crow is, I'm being humble because I made a mistake and I had people doing this third thing that ultimately will cause a person to experience insulin resistance. And if there's insulin resistance, that means that there's inflammation. Frequent eating. When I first came into the space of weight loss, I knew I wanted to have some type of program that would help diabetics, because I knew and I saw back then that diabetes was on the rise. And everything that I saw in 1995 has come to fruition. Everything is constantly gotten worse. Every year is worse. It's never better. Over 30 million Americans right now, that's 10% of the population. That's epidemic. That is crazy. Are living with type 2 diabetes. And remember what I said earlier. If you have type 2 diabetes, before you were a type 2 diabetic, you had insulin resistance. And as part of your insulin resistance, you have low-grade chronic inflammation. No one can dispute everything I'm telling you is the truth. You can't even, there's not even a pushback. There's not even a different way of looking at it. This is hardcore facts. And close to 100 million people right now are pre-diabetic, and 80% of those 100 million, that's 80 million people, don't even know they're pre-diabetic. And there's a higher percentage of men because they don't go to the doctor. I had a client not long ago out of Ohio. I feel like throwing her under the bus, but I'm going to be kind and loving because she is a mess and she doesn't do anything to help herself. And I was helping her, and then she just got worse. And then her thin, skinny husband, who is not the best supporter because he looks in the mirror, and because he's thin and skinny, he felt he had it going on. And one day he was a little dizzy. They took him to the hospital, and guess what? Full-blown type 2 diabetic. Oh, yeah. Now he's looking at dialysis. Yep. And I don't wish that on anybody. But that shows ignorance, right? Lack of knowledge. My people perish. Well, he's perishing because dialysis is now part of his life. And he's only in his 50s. That means he's got about 10 years, but not quality years. That means no traveling, because he's got to be in dialysis, sitting in that chair, getting pumped up, going through what he goes through for 3 to 4 hours, 3 days a week. But he's the same one that was eating everything, walking around, look how thin I am, look how thin I am. And now look what happened. I pray for him, I pray for her. But it was a lack of knowledge. And even when the knowledge was coming to her, she decided to neglect it. God bless her. And I hope it all works out however the best it can work out. Because I know what happens when you start dialysis. I've been doing this for a long time. I've cried because I've had clients, some of their kids go on dialysis. Then I get the phone call, or I see on Facebook, rest in peace. You are an amazing person. We love you. And all of the goes with that. Yep, it ain't pretty. Now, frequent eating. One of the goals when you work with diabetics is you don't want their blood sugar levels to drop too low. And you don't want your blood sugar levels to go too high. So I was like, I want everybody to eat 3 meals and I want everyone to snack in between. Now, I helped a lot of people. I mean, thousands of people. Well over 100,000 people easily, maybe a million. I know that when I did my infomercial, we generated $120 million in sales in 16 months. So that means we helped a lot of people. And everywhere I went, to this day, people will call me and say, man, I lost so much weight on your man. But here's where I eat crow. I realized in 2010, something was off. Because I was meeting people and they weren't losing weight. And I challenged myself. I said, okay, Robert, you always say don't accept, what you think is the truth is forever the truth. Who knows? Maybe you're missing something. And so I did a deep dive and discovered 3 studies on insulin resistance. This is 2010. And I realized that, yes, you can lose weight eating every 2 to 3 hours. But as you're losing the weight, you're causing yourself to become insulin resistant because of the constant eating. And many of those people end up gaining all their weight back. And then when they try to do the same thing that they did with my program to lose the weight, it never worked again. And that's when I just took everything to the next level. And thank God I did, because now I'm at a place where I know how to help people optimize. Right? So you don't want to eat every 2 to 3 hours. And the sad part is that if you do it and you lose weight, in your mind, you're thinking, well, it worked for me. I lost weight. Yeah, but underneath everything, you're causing insulin resistance. So you'll have some temporary success, and then eventually it'll become the thing you don't want to be doing. There you go. So all of that being said, here's like a little diagram I put together, and it kind of summarizes everything, right? That inflammation plays a huge role. That thing in the middle is a cell. You want to have a healthy cell membrane. Yes, stress can be a negative, and we can all work on improving that, learning how to cope better, right? Learning how to deal with judgment, learning how to not be as controlling, because that can cause a lot of stress. Like, I don't control my kids. And I'm sure I'm still I have moments that's bother me inside, and I just try to be in acceptance and just be as loving, and I pray to God. Like, I think prayer is one of your best friends. Some people meditate, do yoga, but learn how to give it to God and really give it to God, because 85% of why people stress is because they want to control things that is out of their control. So I'm going to say that one more time. 85% of those of us who are challenged with some certain stresses, we are wanting to control things that are out of our control. You may have a kid who decides that they're going to be gay. And morally, you may feel that that's wrong based on your moral compass. And you want to change them. Well, you're wanting to change them is causing a stress inside of you that is potentially harming your health. And I'm not saying to condone or to say I like it and lie out loud, but you can accept what I call an unwanted reality. And then forgive yourself for judging them, because you know, if you have that moral belief, that you're not supposed to be judging anybody. So you forgive them and you forgive yourself. And then you pray on that and stay in that place. Otherwise, I'm telling you right now, that stress is going to show up in a whole bunch of ways. And it ain't worth it. It's going to cause inflammation. You're living with it. Insulin resistance, not good. So what can we all do about this? Well, one of the best things we can do is we can test. Because if you don't test, even though you don't feel it, it's happening. All right. I'm going to be ending here. So let me just share a couple things, because there are other contributing factors, by the way. So, and then I will end. If you're not getting enough sleep, that can cause insulin resistance. If you're not active, like you don't work out, you don't exercise, that can play a role. Suboptimal levels of omega-3 can play a role. Micronutrient deficiencies like magnesium, chromium, zinc. Now, that doesn't mean you go out and buy a supplement. That just means you're probably not eating a balanced diet. Like, you're not getting a variety of food. Like some of you eat one meal a day, then yeah, you're going to have some of those problems. But eat more variety of, if you ate Brussels sprouts today, don't eat them tomorrow. If you hadn't had a bell pepper in a while, eat one. If apricots are in season, grab one, right? And environmental toxins and endocrine disruptors. I'm going to do a whole talk on this soon. I definitely approach and teach this in my Food as Medicine course, and you can learn more about those things. But endocrine disruptors are all around us. Now, there's a new study that just came out that I'm going to be talking about here soon. And it talks about omega-3s helping get those endocrine disruptors out of your body. The plastics that you hear about, right? The environment, the air we breathe, the mold in the house, the perfume someone has, the lipstick. These are endocrine disruptors that are causing harm down to the DNA. So cell membrane fluidity is going to and does play a huge role in getting those endocrine disruptors out of our bodies. Now, that's powerful. I haven't shared this study yet. So if you're catching me for the first time talking about this, it is a study that I want to share, and I will share. Any questions for me before I say goodbye? I covered a lot. I covered a whole bunch. And many people can benefit from all of this. Okay. And I know I'm catching people who are catching me on YouTube. That's why I always tell people, come to YouTube because I can catch you. So let me give a big shout out. I see Sandy. What's up, Sandy? Sandy caught me. Lisa caught me. I'm surprised that you're awake, Lisa. Christy, what's up, Christy? I love Christy's quote. She says, faith without works is dead. And thank you for bringing that up, because once you know, you must start doing. Right? Oh, Lisa, you caught me live. She goes, that was me, a walking mess. Okay. I will be live later on today with Lisa. I can't wait, because Lisa's results right now are absolutely like, you've impressed me so much, Lisa. I mean, you're my sister from another mister. Like I said, whenever you want to come out, I would love you to come out and just spend 3 days of learning, spending time together, talking. meeting other people, because you are a gift to the world and your transparency is to be respected. Big props. And then there we go. Coach Susie Lopez. I was supposed to be on a call with Susie today, but she let me do this live. She said, go for it. I'll talk to you later. Oh my God. So anyway, that was great. Hey, you guys. And I hope, Lisa, I don't know if you were here, but I talked about a young kid I got to meet with Renee today. And it was so awesome. It was very rewarding, because when you have a condition that you have accepted that that's part of your reality, like this kid with epilepsy, then he's looking for better. And Renee's already helping him with better because of some other things that she has. And now that she's become aware of inflammation and the connection to like many conditions, to include epilepsy, she was able to provide something more for this kid. That's the part that makes me so excited. You know, it's like being in a position where you can help someone when you find out that what you know or what you have could help them. What a rewarding moment that is. You know, that's a rewarding moment. It ain't about making $4. It's about, I know I shared something with someone that turned on a light. Wow. So let me see here. So there's Lisa. She says, that's right. Be a doer of the word, not just a hearer of the word. Amen. Okay. I feel like playing that song, Boys and Men. It's so hard to say goodbye when you're having a good time and you shared a good message. And I'm going to assume that everybody got what was to be gotten. And we have a better understanding of how inflammation blocks weight loss, because inflammation is insulin resistance and it does fuel disease. So what are you going to do about it? Well, one of my dear friends before I went live, David, who I love, and it's funny because David is a hardcore Democrat. I mean, he is like the man, and he worked with the Clintons. And every time I'm in Memphis, I do not go to Memphis without spending time with David. And I'm an independent, so I'm not getting crazy with the politics, but I just want to share something with you guys, because why David and I always get together and why we can reach out to each other is because we both have this thing called love in our hearts. And he can disagree with me on things that I don't agree with him, and vice versa. But he's a smart man, and he's opened my eyes to many things that I couldn't see sometimes based on politics. And there's things that he notices or picks up from me about health. And he saw something that I posted about inflammation and reached out and was like, tell me more. And I share with him what I just shared with you guys. Now we're getting him the test. Because once you know where you are, you can do something about it. And it's love that we have for each other that open up him being open and willing to reach out and ask me, tell me more. And it's love that made me reach back and go, here's how we can get you the test. And he goes, let's do it. And I said, let's go. So it's love that keeps channels open. Not getting caught up in all this political cray-cray. It's about wanting to be of service to other people. Okay. That's my preaching moment. So I'm going to say goodbye now. All right, you guys, I'm going to say goodbye. Until the next one, when I come back live with Lisa Marie, I'm telling you, make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because you want to hear Lisa's story. And her numbers, when she sent them to me the other day, I'm like, she is on fire. And what she's going to share is something that everybody can do. Everybody. Okay. All right. Until then, I'm Robert Ferguson. You want to learn more about me, go to dietfreelife.com. Until the next one.
Choose a
Got to
new
go.
way to see. No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome feels so right.